Hi everybody, welcome to CastorsCorner.com. Welcome to another toy of the day. I'm your host Khalil here on CastorsCorner.com on our live YouTube channel, and we're happy to have you here. Remember, again, CastorsCorner.com. You can go there for a full gallery of these figures. You can also check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We are at Castors Corner, and you can check out the Cornercast podcast every Monday night, sometime before midnight. So Tuesday morning commute, that's when it'll be there. And I've got a bunch to edit, so I'm not sure who's going up tonight, but they're all topical, so they'll be fun. So I'll tease that. So what did I want to do tonight? So, you know, I had 3 different things to review tonight. And I'll be 100% honest with you. I didn't think I can give them the attention that they needed. In one case, I spent an hour looking for not an accessory. I've been saving the Koopa Kids to be able to do them all at once because I didn't think each one warranted its own review. And then I lost Lemmy. So Lemmy is somewhere floating around the reorganizational space. And I will find him someday. Probably the next time I get another Koopa Kid. But we've got Ludwig and 2 Larrys and an Iggy and a Bowser Jr. and we'll get to those at some point. I've got the Mezco Wonder Woman. I've got the Black Widow 2-pack. And I want to do really good pictures. And I've got to dig up my Black Widow figures from last year. They are buried at the moment. I'd like to compare the Wonder Womans. And again, buried. So I don't want to just kind of do crappy pictures and kind of just get them up. So one of the themes that popped up today really fit what was sitting behind me. So tonight is a tale of 2 Fetts. In the last year, I have gotten 2 Jango Fett action figures. Star Wars Black Series, Disney Toybox. And he is one of those characters where you had really high hopes. You know, really cool fight scene with Obi-Wan Kenobi at the cloning factory. Had these really cool moments, and just like Boba Fett in the original trilogy, went out with a fizzle. Same thing as Captain Phasma in the new trilogy. Just really didn't follow through on the promise. And it really wasn't until The Mandalorian this year that I felt like Boba Fett redeemed himself and showed why he was such an important character. And Jango Fett, I think it was one of those things, at least in my opinion, where they needed to make the connection and try to bring in somebody's favorite character and show where it came from, but it really didn't show the growth of Boba Fett. Because then in the 3rd movie, you didn't see anything. So Jango, unfortunately, in my eyes, not reading the expanded universe, not reading the novels, not going into some of the video games and things like that, had no real affinity for Jango Fett. Even though cool design, blue, it was also one of those preview figures that they did for Attack of the Clones, where it was like him, like he was the first figure, and you got really psyched for him. And then Mace Windu just ran through without even a problem and just chopped his head right off. It is a letdown. But Father of Boba Fett, sure to be mentioned, he was already mentioned in Mandalorian, sure to be mentioned in the Book of Boba Fett and have an impact on that. But more so, I think it's like the impact, you know, these are, I'm just looking at them right now and posing them for pictures really made me realize how radically different these guys are. This one is so played down. The Toybox one just so simplified. This backpack is a completely different backpack, like top to bottom. There is no resemblance between the two, honestly, between these 2 figures. Their blasters, of course, have similarities. The Toybox one is a little chunkier. The Black Series one is a little more streamlined. So Black Series, a little chunkier, and actually the Toybox one does not fit in its holster. You have to really push it and pop it in there. and then it is not easy to get out. So, not made for that in mind. Whereas Jango Fett's holsters are made to hold them, and then you can also, get him ready like he's, drawing off of it. I will say the hoses on both arms worry me, just like the ones on the Mandalorians from Walmart. Those already broke, and so I don't expect that these are going to last too much longer. So us out of the package guys are going to never... It's kind of one of those things where, like, if you get a Flash from Superpowers or Quicksilver from Silverhawks that doesn't have the nose scratch on it, like, you've got your the gods of the clouds have parted and the gods have smiled down on you. Same thing, I think, with Jango Fett or any of the Mandalorians with these tubes on their arms. I mean, if you bend the arms at all, if you pose them out at all, you put enough stress on them, they are going to just pop. Nice thing about this Jango Fett, though, is you get the unmasked head. And, with all the Mandalorians, with all the helmeted figures, it has been nice to see Hasbro stepping up and really... giving us unmasked heads, which I think we all want at most times. The Jango Fett for the Toybox figures came and went last summer, like, very quickly. It was one of those figures that I'm really glad I grabbed in store, because had I waited for the sale at the end of the year, he wouldn't have been there. It was kind of just one of those things, and I can't remember the timing of it, but I remember thinking, oh, I got to get Jango Fett, and then when the Mandalorian and the Child came out, boom, got to get those right away too. And I don't know, for me, I think of the theme of dads and, like, the legacy they leave behind. The positive things they do and the negative things they do, and how they impact things. Sometimes they're larger than life. And then sometimes their stories get to be a letdown. And, I can honestly think somewhere in the basement, I know I did the only toys that survived my childhood. Somewhere in the basement there is one more toy. My dad, growing up, never bought me toys. He always told me he could buy stuff cheaper in New York. And he would come back with the most bootleg He-Man figures you've ever seen. And he'd say they're just as good. Unfortunately, they were never as good as what I actually wanted. Or a Nintendo. The original Nintendo I had came in an open box with the controllers and wires wrapped around the Nintendo. I was not its first owner. But he did buy me Hoth Luke Skywalker. And I do have that somewhere in the basement, somewhere in all my stuff. But that really stuck with me, because this figure brings out a lot of that idea of the legacy that, dads leave you. And I think that my dad knew who I was, but I don't think he ever really understood me. I think I was a whole different animal for him. And I think that's really hard. I think that's really hard when you're so drastically different than your parents. And there's some similarities. There are some things that are there. There's a little bit of the drive. There's a little bit of the rebellion in me that connects. But the core of who I am and who I've become is so radically different. I think he'd be proud of me. I really do. I think he'd be showing off these YouTube channels, not knowing what the hell he was doing with the smartphone, but showing these off everywhere. Look, my son's on TV. Because I don't think I'd be able to explain the difference between the internet videos and TV, because at some point we'd be watching these on the TV, I'm sure, and he wouldn't understand that, just knowing who he was. But I think at the end of the day, they have a really big impact on how we live our lives. And so this all came up in the Fresh Prince. I watched the Fresh Prince reunion today, and then I turned around and I saw 2 Jango Fett figures, and I said, okay, I guess we'll do dads tonight. So yeah, it's a little bit of insight into me. I'm sure it will come up again as we move through things and as films come out, and I'm sure they'll have some themes that are similar and they'll come up everywhere, but never let me buy anything. And that's one of the things that stands out so much to me. I was yanked out of stores. Things were yanked out of my hands. We peeled away from some stores as I was checking out, because he's like, no, don't buy it. And yeah, he, left a really big, he had a really big personality and a really big wake behind him, that didn't leave a lot of room for other people sometimes. And so I can honestly say him not being here today in some ways is probably better for me, because I don't know if I would be in the position I'm in doing these videos like I am, and striving to put this business somewhere on the map. So so there's good and bad with him not being around anymore. So just like Jango Fett, and left a very big legacy to follow, and I think I'm making my own at this point. So thank you guys for listening to me ramble and get it out a little bit. You can check out a full gallery of these guys on castorscorner.com. You can also follow us. We are at Kastor's Corner on all social media. And you can check out the Cornercast podcast on Apple Podcasts. And remember, hit that subscribe button, whichever Jango Fett it is underneath. Hit that subscribe button somewhere down here. The more of you that follow us, the more cool things we get to do, and then we get to share them with you. And you guys get to go on this journey with me of sorting, organizing, getting excited, and getting fed up with toys in a lot of different ways. So thank you guys for watching the Toy of the Day here on castorscorner.com, and we'll see you tomorrow night.